After Talk Radio, you're in to all things music.
Time is a terrible thing to waste. But back to what we were talking about, lifestyle. Everyone pays the price. And I have paid the price throughout my entire career for my interest, for my boredom, for my curiosity, and for just having fun. So I'm still having fun. If I show up on a gig, it's going to be fun, or I might get arrested.
Welcome to Making It with Terry Woolman, the show that explores the secrets, successes, and strategies for making it in the music biz. And now, here's your host, Terry Woolman.
Welcome to the show, and thanks for tuning in. I want to let you know how much I appreciate you joining us on our show. If you missed our last interview, you can hear it and all of our episodes at entertalkradio.com/makingit, or download our app and take us with you. So often I get asked questions about the creative process, so I created this show to focus on what it takes to have a lasting career in the ever-changing landscape of the music business. You're really in for a treat, as I've invited my friends, some of the best and brightest in music, to share their stories on how they have influenced the music that has shaped our lives. I guarantee you're going to love it. So let's get started. Excuse me. My guest today is one of the most versatile drummers that I know, John Hernandez. Johnny Vatos Hernandez's drumming career began at age 17 with the USO tour to South Vietnam. By the age of 19, he was playing in local big bands, the LACC Studio Jazz Band and the Enter Big Band. Hernandez went on to play with artists including Bob Hope, Helen, Reddy, Frankie Avalon, Petula Clark, Keith Carradine, Food for Feet, Psychotic Aztecs, Tito and Tarantula, the Doc Severinsen Band, Danny Elfman, and the iconic Oingo Boingo. Please welcome my guest today, Johnny Vatos Hernandez. Buenos dias, welcome. Hey, man. How are you, John?
Senor.
Your opening tune got me totally revved up, and that was Boingo Dance Party, correct?
You're right, and we seldom ever covered any songs in Oingo Boingo, but that was one of them, and it really got me. And we actually, what we did was in the middle of writing that song, Danny wrote this song, and everybody was trying to figure out what the lyrics would be, and Steve Bartek goes, "Well, it sounds like you really got me." so that's how that ended up. Me, and it's a great version, and it's so much fun. The drum part's amazing, and it was yeah, man. There you go, a cover tune.
It's fantastic. So, like so many musicians of our generation, you were influenced by the music that you heard on the Ed Sullivan Show, but you gravitated towards drummers who played with Frank Sinatra and Duke Ellington and Count Basie. And that might come as a surprise to some of your rock fans, but that really explains your versatility as a drummer. And it makes perfect sense to me because I know you so well, and I know how versatile you are. Can you talk about your influences as a drummer, because they are all over the map?
Right. Well, I'm a big fan of the instrument, and I really, really love the instrument itself. Ed Sullivan had such a great influence on me, because on every Sunday night you could hear Count Basie, you could hear hear all these incredible drummers, Sonny Payne, you heard Jake Hanna. And when I was about 15 or 16, I heard that all the great studio players were jazz players too. And so, with all of that jazz going through my brain when I first started, my mom goes, well, listen, if you're going to be a professional drummer, here's your first record. She gave me a copy of Gene Krupa, Sing, Sing, Sing. She said, you're going to have to start here. And if you can do this, you're on your way. So I've kind of been embedded in it. And then about a year later, she goes, wait. I got to say one more thing. I go, what, Mom? She says, look, if you're going to be a jazz drummer, you're going to have to get a job. If you're going to be a rock and roll drummer, you're going to have to get a job. But if you play everything, you won't need to get a job because you'll always be working. And that was the key bit of advice. So by the time I was already a sophomore in high school, I was in the orchestra, I was in the marching pep band, I was in the stage band, I would play for the dance group. I would do anything, I can imagine. Played in our small orchestra that only had 20 pieces in it, but I got to play timps. And
nice.
And later on, that the same people I played with in that honor band orchestra. By the time I was in high school, I was already playing. They got me to play with the LA Junior Philharmonic, and it was like, wow, this is pretty cool. And then I started doing sessions, and I was about 17. I had done a couple of sessions at an old studio called Whitney Studios in Glendale. They used to do all the Disney stuff there. It was a really big studio. It closed down in the 80s. And they asked me if I wanted to go on a USO tour. So my mom signed a release. I was 17. And that's when I started my touring career, and it hasn't stopped yet.
Wow. So I didn't realize that your mom was such a deep influence on you musically. What was she a musician? How did she have all this wisdom about setting you in a very clear direction?
Well, she actually it kind of dawned on her when I beat up all her pans and her pots and started beating on everything. I can imagine. Broke my sister's bongos. And she goes, I think he wants to be a drummer. So she took out a loan and went down to Wallach's Music City and bought me my first set of drums. And God bless her, it was like $250, and she paid on it because she was a single working mother for 2.5 years. And it was a great gift and a great present, So, she was, I think about her all the time, and she was a great influence, and she taught me unknowingly the ethic of Saturday night. And that's, in Saturday night, if you're a working person, you've got to go let your hair down. You've got to go have a good time. And even if you didn't go out, even if you didn't have any money, you would turn on the record player and dance around the room and have a great old time. So my sister was 6 years older than I was, and she played all those great tunes, all those great R&B songs. And I grew up listening to all of that. But you're right, I was a jazz snob, I was a jazz snob till I was about 21. And, I was playing pit shows and doing all kinds of stuff like that. I was really fortunate to be a younger drummer who could play rock and roll, who could play jazz, and who could read. So, I got a lot of work in that era, that little time slot.
Yeah.
So that worked out pretty good.
I know, of course, you've mentioned before that when the Beatles were on Ed Sullivan, just like most of us, it changed in some ways the course of where we went musically, certainly culturally. But where did you get your rock chops from? Was that from the teachers that you were studying with as well, or was that just from listening to rock music and emulating that?
Well, I was kind of emulating what I was listening to, and of course, Ringo Starr had a huge influence on my early playing. So did John Densmore of the Doors, because he was like kind of Elvin Jones meets rock and roll meets acid.
Yeah, that was
rock.
That was definitely a jazz rock group.
Yeah, and Mitch Mitchell and all that stuff. And when I started doing sessions and started doing that kind of work, it was kind of it was kind of pretend. You know, I kind of was covering a rock and roll skill set when I was playing with Helen and Reddy, and I got to play with all these different rock acts and go on the road and do the Midnight Special and those kind of shows in the 70s. I was still kind of playing studio rock style. And it wasn't until the 80s that I was able to kind of be in a band and not have to worry about, you know, covering a lot of different bases. In the 80s, I was able to focus in a certain rock style, a certain genre. And so I was able to stretch that out as much as I possibly could.
Right. Was that an easy transition for you? Did any of the guys that you were playing with feel like you were perhaps a little too educated? Or
yes, as a matter of fact, see, you know me too well. You're absolutely right. When I started playing with Boingo, they said, "Wait a minute, what are you doing?" And I said, "I'm hitting a cymbal." Wait a minute, you're not playing with Helen Reddy anymore. When you hit a cymbal, hit a cymbal.
Right, smash it.
So I pulled out a ride cymbal. I started playing a ride beat. What is that? Oh, it's a ride cymbal. I kind of like it. It cuts through the band. You don't play rock and roll with the ride cymbal. If you got a ride cymbal, beat it real hard. So I got rid of my ride cymbal.
There's
I
one
never
solution.
had another one with the band.
So in your early childhood years, it was you and your sister and your mom. Was that your family?
That was it. Yeah.
Did you have other cousins, aunts and uncles, anything around, or did all of those relatives just appear out of nowhere when you started doing Oingo Boingo concerts and wanted tickets?
No. They also had that Saturday night ethic, and I had the good fortune of having an older cousin who played guitar, and he taught my other two cousins to play guitar. And when I was in 8th grade, we had a band called the Adventures. Just like the Ventures, except we did all Ventures tunes, and we did all the real hip ones, the country and western ones. There was all these great standards with Venture style, you know, Blue Skies, all these.
Right.
So I kind of a twisted Ventures Ricky-ticky rock idea of standards before I got into my swing era. After I left that band when I was 15, I might have told you this story a while back. I have a young friend of mine who plays drums who's 15, and I was thinking what I was doing. When I was 15, I left my cousin's band because I wanted to play swing. So I joined this. This is a funny story. I joined this jazz accordion big band. And this guy named Sal Anglora was, come on, Johnny, you're swinging really good. And we went up to San Francisco and won like the Western States Accordion Jazz Festival. And it was so much fun. So years later, I'm doing a movie called Midnight Run with Danny Elfman and, you know, the guys from Boingo. And Frank Morocco comes up to me, the world famous accordion player. He goes,
accordion player,
accordion. He goes, Johnny, my buddy Sal Anglora says you swing pretty good, man. So apparently Sal Anglora in the 60s came out with Frank Morocco out here to L.A., and Sal went on to be a teacher, and Morocco went on to be the legendary accordion
jazz
player of all the movies.
Yeah, sure.
So you never know. You just jump for the opportunity.
I love that story. Yeah, and the coolest part of that is that you were 15. You know, and that you actually already left a band because you had something else in mind that you thought would be better for you. And that's
I never thought of that. But
it's pretty forward thinking. I know you were just being you and doing what came natural, but it's kind of a really cool part of, I think, of why you have had such a wonderful career and continue to, because you've always just you're not afraid of versatility, and you embrace different styles of music, and you go in hard. You know, you push yourself to immerse yourself in different styles, whatever style of music that you're doing. And I see where it came from now. Yeah, because you've been doing this since you were a kid.
Yeah. it,
but it didn't really feel like anything, profound when you were doing it. You just wanted to do something different, right?
Right. And that I'm one of the hardest things in this business, and it really has kind of beat me down. I can figure 2 or 3 times really hard at different points in my life where the music business can really beat you down and take away that spirit, that enjoyment, the reason why you got into it all. And I've gone there a couple of times, but I just keep coming back. And I love the instrument so much. I love that Saturday night feeling. I love the excitement of being on stage. I love that nervous feeling that, I still get nervous when I play. I worry about the audience and giving them a good show. Whenever I hear a band open goes on right before any band I'm playing with, anyone, the rule of the musical jungle is, now, buddy, you got to play better than that band that just got off, and you got to take it to another place. Right. And then the next band that's got to go on is better, do a good job, or they're going to look pretty silly too. So, yeah, I've always pushed it. The only time, we grew up in a very interesting era. So the only time that theory turned on me was back when you could work 5 nights a week in a club. Now you could work 5 or 6 nights a week, an experience that will probably never happen again in this country. Right. But it was a fun time. The 60s and 70s, you could actually work in a club 5 nights a week, and it ruined a lot of guys' careers because they just beat themselves to death. So what I would do is I would get on these gigs, and I'd last for about 2. By the 3rd week, I'd be overplaying and annoying everybody. So by the 4th week, I'd get fired. But I got a chance to play with some really cool bands. And there was this one band that I played with in East LA where Chico Guerrero, who used to be one of the officers who's now passed on at Local 47, was helping a lot of Latin percussionists come into the country in the early 70s. And all these people he was helping, he helped the Pastora brothers, Luis Conte, and all these different people. And so I was playing this 6-nighter in East LA, and we would hire them for a week or two to be part of the reason they could get into the country. Right. So I got to play this gig for a whole year with changing the world famous percussionist walking in front of me and changing. Okay, here's another stupid story.
It's
so
great.
One of those nights, Luis Conte, I've never met him. It's a Monday night. And he starts playing, and he turns around and looks at me after the first, he goes, "Hey, you know what clave is?" And I go, "Yeah." He goes, "No, you don't know what clave is. I kind of know." He goes, What are you crazy? What are you dumb? What do you got for brains? You got bread? I know, I'm going to start calling you Juan Cabeza Pan. Because you probably have no brain. It's just all bread inside.
It's bread.
So of course, I went home with my diligence and all that stuff. And by about Wednesday, I could play in clave. I understood it, and I played the hell out of it. But I never lived that name down. So years later, Luis Conte's talking to Alejandro, Alex Acuna, and he goes, "This is my friend Johnny." "No, I don't know. No, Johnny Hernandez. He's really good. He played with Helen Reddy." "No, I don't know. It's Juan Cabeza Pan." He goes, "Oh, Juan Cabeza Pan. Yeah, I know Juan Cabeza Pan. How are you, Juan Cabeza Pan?"
Unbeknownst to you were a legend in the Latin community.
That's it. You never lived down your first nickname. Anyway,
I don't know if you remember this, but one of the best pieces of advice about being a musician that I ever got was from you. And it was many, many years ago before we went on stage. And I think it was at Vine Street Bar and Grill where we used to play when you were in my band. And I was stressed out about something, whatever the details were of, filling the club and promotion or whatever. And you pulled me aside and just said, every time you pick up your instrument, you need to play it as if it's the last time that you're going to play, because it might be. And it changed the way I play forever. I still think about that, and I'm paraphrasing, but I want to thank you for that. Because it has stuck with me.
Thank you. I really believe that. And thank you. Yeah.
And it's clear in your playing, because you take no prisoners, whatever the style of music is, you, especially, with all the experience that you've gotten with not overplaying, even though you're fully capable of it, you still play as if your life depended on it. And it's one of the things that I admire about your musicianship and your passion, it just, and focus really comes through, and it's carried again into my career. So, I was going to, I was going to ask you, but in a way you had already answered the question, but I'll still ask it. What is the best piece of advice that anybody ever gave to you? I know you had already started the show by saying what your mom had said, but is there anything else that comes to mind from any other artist or friends?
Sure. You have to check the reason you do everything, because the work is going to be long. It's going to be hard. It's going to be, it's going to be years and years. It's going to be a lifetime of mastering an instrument. And you really have to want to do it. Nothing pisses me off more, and I discourage more and more. Dude, if you're having a bad day and you don't want to show up, and you show up and you're in a bad mood and you don't want to make music, just stay home. There's 10 guys waiting to take your place. And that's, you always got to show up ready to go and with a smile on your face and ready to do it, because oftentimes people get into it and the melodrama takes over their experience. The melodrama of, well, I didn't get to work, I didn't get to do this, and I, the old adage, a poor workman always blames his tools. All those things that you hear growing up. I don't have the best drum set. Doesn't matter what you have. Right. You're the instrument. You are the instrument. No matter what anyone says, Terry Woolman is the instrument, and whether it's a SG, a hollowed out, a hinga, a dong, a single cutaway, 3 guitar necks, it's just going to be an extension of you, and it's really just making sure that it really is your passion, and that's all you have to know. And if you ever lose that passion, then go find something else. Just always follow that. Because like I told you, like I said, this could be the last time. It could be the last day. Tomorrow could be the last day for all of us. These are tough times, and this whole landscape of music has changed completely. And the thing, especially at my age, and playing all these different styles, I can do so much. I can still keep playing, but this music business can be so cold. The way you get out of the music business is just not to show up anymore. Right? I mean, because it's basically, hey, I heard John kicked the bucket. Okay, well, we'll get somebody else. Well, John decided to OD on root beer sodas, and he raised 500 pounds and never play again. Somebody to take a left turn, as Freddie Gruber would say, into Ragooneyville, and you're out of the business. So I'm in the business because I have my own band. I have a corporate. I have a kind of a corporate, past history that people can buy and sell. And fortunately, the Oingo Boingo did really well, and the music is still fun to play. And the guys that are playing it are incredible. I got my son, who's an incredible classical player. He plays electric bass, and he subs for John Avila when John can't make it, and splits the show with him. He's a monster bass player. And I also have another sub for Steve Bartek from time to time. But it's an incredible band, and like I tell all the bands, even when I'm touring Europe and Tito and Tarantula, we're playing all through Europe, which we've done the last 3 or 4 years. My joke to everyone is, okay, folks, we only got to be great for 2 hours a day. We have to be better than anyone else. You can do whatever you want. You can go eat croissants. You can go drink beer in a pub. But for 2 hours a day, we got to play like we've never played before.
Yeah. It's not that complicated when you break it down like that. So, one of the things besides your versatility, and you mentioned it, you started to mention it at the beginning of the show, was just about your openness and willingness and of understanding the value of saying yes. And the perfect example is how you knowing bassist Dave Pilato led to you joining Helen Reddy's band back in the 70s. Can you just give a little brief version of how you ended up being Helen Reddy's drummer?
Well, that was a really, really. I was fortunate. The angels were looking after me, and it was a really kind moment from a kind second generation powerful musician, Dave Pilato, because I was about 20 years old, 21 years old. I played shows. I was playing with the Lennon sisters, playing Orange County, this and that. I was all over the place playing all kinds of pit shows. I was running myself ragged and not enjoying myself. And
right.
So the group I was playing with, because I love playing jazz, I was playing in a real outside jazz group with Theo Sanders, Charles Arania, Dave Pilato, myself, and Dave Pritchard. And it was the most outside, freaking jazz you can imagine.
Right, totally avant-garde. Yeah.
Yeah, Dave Pilato, whose father is Charlie Pilato, who played with Lawrence Funk for years. So he's along that lineage of studio musicians. And Dave goes, John, you need a break. I said, what do you mean? He goes, I'm going to get you that job with Helen Reddy. I go, Helen Reddy? He goes, yeah, my friend Peter Donald's going to be leaving the band. And, you've done everything. You're such a good player. You need a break. I'm going to do it. And I couldn't believe it. So he told me, goes, all right, you're going to get the gig. So Mike Warren, the conductor, calls me up. Okay, John, Dave says you're the guy. So, okay, man, I'll talk to you soon. Okay, so now it's 3 weeks before the show. Now it's 2 weeks before the show. Hey, can you guys maybe send me the music? And oh no, Dave says you're a great reader. You'll be fine. Finally, the day of the show, we're all going to carpool together. So I get into the car and he hands me the book. He goes, there's the book. There you go. So I'm driving down to San Diego to play a sold out show there with Helen Reddy. I'm looking at the book for the first time. Wow. And I played all of them. They were all pop songs. I did a good job, but there was one song that I'd never seen before. And I saw a bunch of 16th notes, and it was Lost in the Night. Mm-hmm. The ice wind is blowing out your name. It was a Leon Russell tune. And it's supposed to be kind of a funk tune. Of course, I went all jazz samba. And it sounded like Abel Boreal Jr. or something playing a samba, And at the end, Helen Reddy said, she goes, you did a great job, nice reading, but that Leon Russell tune isn't a samba. I go, oh, okay. So I looked out. I was really, really fortunate. I've had a couple of those instances happen. The next instance was I was playing a show with Toni Basil and the Walkers at the Fox Venice Theater with a couple of guys from Devo. Right.
And, I wanted to talk about that as well. Yes.
Yeah. So it was the end of that whole 70s era. And I was coming off the road with Helen Reddy. And I jumped in and did this show. And it was 4 consecutive Fridays. And every show, Danny Elfman and Steve Bartek came to the show. And lo and behold, at the end of that, they realized that 3 months before, I played on a movie called The Forbidden Zone that Steve Bartek hired me as a studio drummer to play on. So they asked me to join their band. They go, can you imagine having a drummer like this in our band? So because of that, I got the job with the Mystic Knights of the Oingo Boingo. And that involved like 6 outfit changes. We played old time jazz, calypso. We had to play Balinese music. We played gamelan music. It was such an experience. It was so much fun.
It was a very theatrical band. Yeah, absolutely.
So theatrical. And then one day, this is another great story, the fickle finger of fate. One day, we got Nederlanders wanted to take us off Broadway, give us $1.5 million to take the band off Broadway. Danny was kind of tired of all the monkey suits and all the dinosaur heads and all that stuff. And we got a letter from a band in Northern California that says, "Hey, listen, if you give us $750 for a new PA, you can use our name, Mystic Knights, because we've been using that since before you." So Danny Elfman, in his infinite wisdom, said, "Okay, well, you know what? You can keep your name. We're now just called Oingo Boingo." And that's how we became Oingo Boingo.
Wow. That's a great story.
Yeah.
That's really great. Take it back to Toni Basil for a second, because she was such a visionary artist as well. How did she know of you through Steve Bartek? How did you meet Toni?
Well, I got the gig through a guy named Dave Storrs, who was the musical director, and Dave Storrs was a guitar player who played with me at LA City College with Bob McDonald.
Right.
And there was 2 bass players. I think Leon Gare was one of them. There was 3 guitar players. There was Mingo Lewis was playing percussion. It was the loudest band I'd ever played with in my life.
That's a statement.
Okay, here's another great story from that event. So I learned a little bit about drum technique and how to play so loud that night, because I gripped my stick too hard and I popped my left thumb out, and my arm started to wrench up, and I'm playing the encore, like playing all 4 on the bass drum and slamming a backbeat while 3 million people are dancing, and it was just a craziness. I see this guy leaning on the side of the wall, and I go, "Come here." And he goes, "What?" I go, "Come here." I said, "Grab my thumb." He goes, "What?" "Grab my thumb." He grabbed my thumb, and I pulled my arm and popped my thumb back in. My arm straightened out, and I grabbed the stick tomahawk style and beat out the rest of the show.
And finished
the guy
the show.
that pulled out my thumb ended up being our lighting director and with Oingo Boingo, and I still know him today, Charlie Uncle.
Wow, that's great.
Around that. Yeah.
You have stories, for days, days. And, the coolest thing about the stories that you're telling me is how one opportunity leads to the next. And it's not just the opportunity, but it's, again, it's your attitude, your openness, your willingness just to be, to step into new situations that lead to the next situation. Yeah.
Right.
Even like I know that you sub for Dave Krieger in the Don Ellis band. I mean, that's amazing.
Yeah, there you go.
Because that's not, that's a mixed meter. That's not an easy book to play. Don Ellis was known for his mixed time signatures and great arrangements.
It's not. And that's where Steve Bartek and I officially met. He was playing with Don Ellis.
Oh, I wasn't aware of that.
Yeah. And, Dave, and Don Ellis actually went to LA City College for a couple of semesters when he was playing drums.
Wow.
So I knew Don there. And Don also studied with Freddie Gruber. So I used to see Don Ellis hanging out at Freddie Gruber's house. So we were kind of all in acquaintance. And Ralph Humphreys and I go way back when Freddie Gruber had me go to Ralph Humphreys when I was learning how to play odd meters. And Ralph kind of gave me some of the most influential lessons to cover all that stuff. Mm-hmm. And to this day, Ralph Humphreys and I are old friends.
That's great. Yeah, he's another really versatile drummer. Can pretty much play anything. Yeah. You started, I want to talk about artist endorsements, because I know that you've been with DW and Sabian for a long time, and What's your philosophy on artist relationships and gear?
Well, my theory is that I don't consider it an endorsement unless they give you something. Right. And I really don't care if they publicize you at all. My deal with them is I just need product, and I have a very busy career, and I don't like to be bothered, or I don't like to go chasing. I don't believe you should chase or send in forms and, try to get endorsements, because basically you have to look at it from their end. They're salesmen, and really they could give a rat's. They really don't care. The music business has changed so much. Guys are getting endorsements who get 1 million hits on YouTube or something. Right. It's a whole nother market. And fortunately with me, I knew Don Lombardi, who started DW Drums. And when we went in to do our first album, we went to the record plant. And in the record plant, they had, at the time, they had a room with marble floors and glass walls and a glass ceiling. And so I had fiberglass drums, and they sounded like, so I called Don Lombardi. I go, Don, I need a set, man. So he just set one over. And so since then, I was like, I'm one of the first 5 endorsers of the DW Drum Company. That I fell into that. Sabian, I was on the road with after when I was on the road with Oingo Boingo, I kept running into Pat Rogers, the salesman for Sabian, one of the reps, and John, when are you going to sign with us? John, when are you going to sign with us? So finally, I knew Lenny D'Amizio over at Zildjian, and I said, Lenny, I'd really like to be with Zildjian. He goes, yeah, John, we got some pretty heavyweight drummers here. Basically, he kind of blew me off. He said, if Sabian wants to, endorse you, you should do it. They're a young company, and you're a young cat. And I said, perfect. Okay. So I was fortunate enough, and that they were able to take care of me. And I said, there's only one thing. I don't care about publicity, but I play so many styles, and I'm so interested in everything. Right. I'm going to want a lot of stuff. So I'm so fortunate, because I have a jazz kit, I have a big band kit, I got a bebop kit, I got a rock kit, I got a fusion kit, I got a Hal Blaine kit with all the fiberglass toms you could ever imagine, and I have cymbals for every room and every place that I play in that sound incredible, and I pretty much have everything I need to get anything I want done. And I feel that's an incredible thing for me, because there's so much on my mind. I can always go into my warehouse and find something, but I've been blessed, but I don't believe in chasing endorsements. I believe in letting them chase you. Because when they finally want you, they'll really take care of you. And if you have to convince them that you're the guy, then it doesn't matter. You don't convince salesmen you're the guy. You buy them hookers and buy them dinner and take them out to a drink. Right. That's what you do. A salesman is just a salesman, you know. And so if they want you, they'll take care of you. And if not,
and that's when it becomes truly an artist relationship.
Sure, and I tell my early students too that one of my life advice to most students I ever talk to is like, practice now being great. Every day you play could be their last day, and just take it to the limit. Every day, practice being great, because one day you're going to be famous, and people are going to follow you around with cameras. Going to ask you, well, how did you do that? How did you lift up your arm? Why did you, and you're not going to have any time to practice. No one's going to leave you alone. You'll have arrived, and you'll end up, talking and talking and talking, while the next guy back you is going to be practicing. And that's the way it all evolves, Right. So practice being great now. You're going to be great. You're going to be fantastic. You're going to have a good time. Music is great. You're going to travel all over the world. It comes with this job. Nowadays we're flying. We're going to Brazil for our first international gig, December 1st. We're playing Sao Paulo. We're headlining our first Oingo Boingo's headlining their first festival, and we fly in the day before, play the festival, and fly out the next day.
Right.
That's
right. There's barely time to sleep. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, look at all the places you've been to all over the world. It's insane.
Yeah. It's been incredible.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's, and traveling has become a lot less glamorous, with security and with airlines not respecting, music gear and et cetera. It doesn't make it any easier.
It's not. And you have to keep your mental youth chops up, because it's every day. You're right. Traveling is just terrible.
Well, how do you do that? Is it through, do you eat healthy? Do you have an exercise regime? Yeah. What's your thing?
Yeah. No, I have to walk every day. I walk for, doctor says a half hour. I can walk usually a half hour, 45 minutes to an hour.
Right.
And just, because, here I am at 66.
Right.
And my competition and the people that are happy to do that, are like 30 something and they're raring and ready to go.
That's right.
And so I can either, kind of piss and moan and I'm an old guy and I do this, or I can just tell me where to be. I'll be there 2 hours early and we'll have coffee.
Right. Exactly. So what are your, I want to talk about quality of life, because I know that, like you said earlier in your career, when you had the opportunity to work 5 nights a week, you actually exhausted yourself. And, I know that you have a family, you're a father, you're a husband, but you've also have a great career. How do you find balance and create quality in life versus just focusing on your career?
Oh, well, that's I'm better at my instrument than that part of my life.
Right. Me too.
What's generally the case. My first wife didn't like Oingo Boingo. My second wife didn't like the other band, Food for Feet. And this wife that I've been with for 30 years likes every band I'm in.
Wow. That's important.
To find somebody that's going to allow you to do what you do is really, really kind of important. And basically, we're so self-serving, self-focused on our instrument, and our instrument's our body, and we worry about our rest. We do all those things to keep our machine moving. And it's kind of a hard balance. I think I'm a better father to my 2 children from this marriage than I was to my child from my first marriage.
Mm-hmm.
So every day is another day you get better at whatever it is you do, and that's why you have to choose on a daily basis. Oh, here's another great bit of advice for all you party animals, people who think it's all glamorous to get all hopped up on whatever you want to get hopped up on. One of my life lessons was, when the sun comes up, go to bed. No matter what you're doing, no matter where you're hanging out, when the sun comes up, go to bed. And then rest and start again the next day. So you create a body cycle for the rest of your life, where you run into crazy musicians and a crazy artist will be up for 2 or 3 days, painting and drawing and drinking and out of their mind and drinking till all hours, and then getting up the next morning and drinking all over again.
Mm-hmm.
You just have to get away. So one of my stories on the road was they'd go like, okay, we're going to party after the show, man. Okay, man, we're going to meet in the room. Yeah, we'll meet you about 1:30, man. We'll have everything. It'll be incredible. And I go, yeah, man, I'll be right there. Oh, yeah, it's going to be hot. I go into the hotel, I close my door, and I'm the first guy down in the lobby at 7:00 in the morning to catch the airplane, you know.
Right.
And everybody else has been awake all night. And they're all hungover and they look like crap. And I go, well, you can do whatever you want, but you only got to be good for 2 hours a day.
That's right.
That's right.
Keeps coming back to that. Hey, John, in 2012, you actually were awarded the Los Angeles Certificate of Recognition Award from the LA City Council. How did they know about you, and what was that award about? And congratulations on the recognition as well.
Thank you so much. That really is a big, one of those really personal sacred honors that I have. I hang up and I kind of look at it, and it was kind of recognition. Guillermo Uribe, who runs the East LA wine, local club owner and stuff down in East LA, we were doing a Day of the Dead show, and he knows a lot of people in the city council, Via Ragosa and all that stuff at the time. And he said, John's been such a great musician. We ought to give him an award. So, I was kind of blown away. At first I didn't believe it. I thought, what? And then Richard Montoya from Culture Class came up and presented the award to me. And I'm like, I can't believe this. This is like, it was quite an honor. I'm pretty grateful, and it's great to be recognized by the city. I grew up, was born in County General at East LA with the other 4 Mexicans, and it was great.
Yeah,
right down the street, and to get a award from the city council, which also led into our next award with the Oingo Boingo. We got Oingo Boingo Day LA 2016.
That's fantastic.
So, right. 420, pure coincidence. 420, which is a stoner holiday.
Right. That's right.
420 for the rest of my life will be Oingo Boingo Day LA. So we got a accommodation from the city, and the only one that wasn't there was Danny. I called Danny. Danny goes, "Oh, I'm going to be in China, man. Have a good time. I'll talk to you later. I'll pick up the award later." So,
well, it's a beautiful acknowledgement to the band, because you've been, you've been an LA staple, but also just, internationally. Oingo Boingo and Mystic Nights was, or Mystic Nights of the Oingo Boingo were both groundbreaking collectives of, musicians, and with a really strong point of view and a fun party band, but uniquely your own, all of you, it's nice to see that you all are being acknowledged for that, and also that you're carrying on the tradition, that you're keeping the Boingo Dance Party alive.
Yeah, I get plenty of great thanks for that, and there's a show called the Lost 80s Tour, and they have all these Lost 80s bands, Dramarama, Boy George, Animotion, all these different bands, and the acts are all on there because they all have their original singer. So what happened is that our agent sees the band getting so big and so many people love our singer, Brendan McKeon, who's an incredible singer and frontman, and a big fan of Danny's, big fan of the music, and sings it and takes it to another place. We're going to be playing September 8th in Las Vegas with the Lost 80s lineup. We're doing about 3 or 4 tunes representing Oingo Boingo in the midst of all that with Brendan McKeon. But we'll have all the original guys. We'll have Steve Bartek, John Avila, Carl Graves, Sam Phipps, myself, and Brendan. So it'll be
perfect.
It's that's another kind of a little feather in my cap because, we're the only band on that whole lineup that's going to have another singer.
Right. Yeah, that's going to be a great event. Anybody who's anywhere near Las Vegas, I would recommend that you go see that. Is that up on your website, on the your personal website,
Yes.
or on the Boingo website? Or
Yes, it is.
Okay.
It's in the Lost 80s website, and we just posted it today on the Oingo Boingo Dance Party website.
Great, and we'll post it as well on your artist page that on Enter Talk Radio, so people can find it easily just by logging on and listening to this show today. We've got about 8 minutes left in our conversation, and I want to get to my closing questions that I ask all of my guests. The first question is a two-part, which is, since the show is called Making It, what does making it mean to you both personally and professionally? And the second part of the question is, can you share 3 tips for success that have driven your career?
Well, actually, that's a great question, because both of them can be answered simply and easily with the passion in my heart and the love in my instrument. It doesn't matter whether there's 5 people out there playing, out there in the audience, whether there's 250,000 people playing. If you're playing and you're getting some sort of money for it, that's work. That's what success is all about. And that's where you take your best game. You know,
Amen.
It's all about that. And like I said earlier, practice being great. Well, if there's only 5 people there, well, then you really slam it to them. If there's 250,000 people there, you better hold on to your energy, because they'll mow you over with all their power and energy and love and interest.
Right. John, at this point of your life, with everything that you know to be true, what would you tell your younger self?
That's a great question. What I would tell my younger self? Time is a terrible thing to waste. But once again, back to what we were talking about, lifestyle. Everyone pays the price. And I have paid the price throughout my entire career for my interest, for my boredom, for my curiosity, and for just having fun. So I'm still having fun. If I show up on a gig, it's going to be fun, or I might get arrested.
So in our last 5 minutes of this conversation, I want to open it up to you and see what's on your heart, if, regarding the state of music and education and just personally, what would you like to talk about for the last few minutes of our show?
Well, I think that the state of our country and the state of the arts in our country is just shameful. It's just, we don't have classical music in every major city. We don't have 2 types of jazz. Jazz is like an American phenomenon that's born here in the United States. Yet we have some of the greatest classical musicians, some of the greatest jazz musicians coming up now that are just absolutely phenomenal and so wonderful. And I just wonder where they're going to be playing. Some of the best writing, I mean, coming out of Nashville, coming out of pockets all over, some of the best country music. I was at the Hilton a couple of years ago at the NAMM show, and I'm at the Hilton. You go, okay, let's go meet, have a drink. And my jaw was on the ground for band after band. There were 3 bands in a row. I happened to meet some of the drummers from Nashville, friends of mine, and they were saying, you got to come see this band, And they were just amazing. I think that this teenage generation has the world on their shoulders. The Parkland people,
right.
All the great musicians, all the great artists, because I think that they're genuinely interested. There's generally a lot of love and care, more than you'll ever see in the corporate military complex media. It's all bent toward making money and sales for bad things, just things, our humanity, as it goes out goes out seems to be drawing artists in even closer. And as terrible as sometimes as terrible as it all seems, it seems like music's getting better, and it's messed up. And I don't know what to say. I'm not a big fan of the Voice and all those programs, because I know too many people that, like myself, that have studied voice, they're really doing it the right way, and you can't live the American dream now, because of all this corporate media nonsense, is that people think they're in their own reality show. You know, they race their cars. They're going to be the best guy on TV. They got this reality show mentality that's kind of that's taken lives. You know, people think they're a fast car driver, and they run into accidents, and people think that they can shoot their girlfriend and their family, and you know, what are the people thinking? These are permanent, powerful decisions. You know, and the whole thing with race baiting is all made up. You know, it's all just nonsense. You know, it's all there to pit us against each other. But when you sit in a band and you're hanging out with musicians and artists and the people that were in this business that we're in, there's every size. You know, okay, here's the lyric that kind of sounds that it kind of like. It kind of said it all for me with Oingo Boingo, and said it all with chicks, and says it all with all kinds of crazy people. But it boils down to this reality show concept, and which kind of keeps me smiling. So the famous lyrics I quote are from a song called Nuclear Babies. And the chorus goes, different sizes, different colors. Some have bones that bend like rubber. No two faces snap. No two faces look alike. They snap, they crawl, they bounce, they bite. Appendages unique and vary, alternately bald and hairy. There's one thing, they're mutants, and they just don't care. Because we're all nuclear babies now. We're all nuclear babies.
Yes,
you know,
we
it's a great. We used to play called Nuclear Babies, and we're going to play it this Halloween at our shows coming up at the Saban in Beverly Hills. We're going to be playing Thunder Valley Casino up in Lincoln, California, the Coach House down in Orange County, the Humphreys down in San Diego, the Rose in Pasadena. We're playing the Libby Bowl for Ojai Day on the 13th. It's going to be a wild month. And
I'm so glad to hear that.
Yeah, I have the greatest confidence in humans. I have the greatest love for musicians and artists. And I think those young children and those people like that are going to make this all a success. You know, we're not all going down in flames, even though they're trying to. But, you know, forge ahead, have a good time, party on Saturday night, drink wine, and that's how we win.
And on that note, I want to thank you. We are out of time. Johnny Vatos Hernandez, I love you, and thanks for spending the hour.
I love you, Terry. Thank you so much.
My pleasure, and thanks everybody for listening. We'll see you next week.
Tune in again next week for another great episode of Making It with Terry Woolman.
This is Jackie Bertoni from Jackie's Groove. Come join me weekly on my journey through the music business as I take you behind the velvet rope, interviewing industry notables such as Al Di Meola, Michael McDonald, and Al Jarreau, to name but a few. Listen to their stories on being in the studios recording #1 hits and onto the stages throughout the globe. Allow me to be your music historian. You can hear me live every Monday at 2 p.m. and every Wednesday at 12 noon Pacific Standard Time or 24/7 on jackiesgroove.com. Ready to get your groove on?
Hi, this is Tim Dolbear from Eclectica Studios. I'm a full-time mixing and recording engineer. I work with Grammy winners, labels, and indie artists, using state-of-the-art digital mixing and restoration tools and the very best in analog gear. Really, though, it's my ability to bring tracks to life and fulfill your vision for your music. This has made me sought after by producers and artists worldwide. So spend your time working on music and not chasing a mix down a rabbit hole. Go to timdolbear.com and check out our free 1 one-song mix offer.
You know what's all around you every waking moment of your life? Marketing. You're choking on it. I'm Scott Robertson, and when it comes to strategic PR, branding, and marketing, I've seen it all. And actually, I'm still seeing it because bad marketing never sleeps. Join me each week on May the Best Brand Win, right here on InnerTalk Radio, and learn how to make the marketing for your brand unforgettable.
Are you serious about your music? Are you ready to run with the big dogs? The experts at Pitbull Audio have the gear to get you into the game. From leading manufacturers like Mesa Boogie, Fender, Pioneer, and American Audio. To sound your best, you need the best. Pitbull Audio can deliver in rehearsal, on stage, and into the big time. Dropping beats, shredding guitar, or making the crowd roar. Whatever you dream, Pitbull Audio can help make it happen. We are Pitbull Audio. We want you to play it loud. PitbullAudio.com.